For the best in paranormal talk radio, you're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio with Gary.
And boy, do I wish there was thunder and lightning and rain right now. Up here in the harbor in Washington State, it is in the 90s in my studio. It's now climbing in the 102 degrees right now in the studio. So if I start it halfway during our interview tonight, if I start sounding more weirder than normal, it's only because I'm probably coming down with heat stroke. Well, anyway, no, we don't have Richard Dawson on tonight, but we got the next thing to Richard. We got Ronny Dawson, which I'm pretty sure there's no connection, but we're going to be talking about UFOs. Hi, Ronny.
Hey, Gary.
Well, you were saying it's extremely hot, around 100 degrees in Texas, where you're at right now, huh?
Oh, yes. That's a typical July weather here in Texas.
What's it like when you hit August?
August is, you don't even go outside. You don't even look at the temperature today.
Well, you know, I got stuck years and years ago in Houston, and I think it was like the middle of August. And I tell you, I came out of the motel room, or the hotel room, right, to get into the limo to go where I had to go. And I tell you, just the walk from the front door to the limo, all of a sudden I felt like somebody hit me with a garden hose. I mean, it was real weird. It was so humid.
Oh, yeah. The katydids go to singing outside, and you can just hear this buzz in the air. And I guarantee you don't want to be out there very long. So even the grass doesn't grow in August. So,
well, that makes it not. That makes it nice, because I'll tell you a little secret. I wouldn't want to be cutting the grass anyway. So if you got to, you know what, my neighbors, always used to say, hey, Gary, we never hear you use a lawnmower. And I said, you know why? I find if I don't water my grass, I don't have to mow it. And since I live on 2 acres on a mini farm, you know what? The only grass I got is my backyard. And, it seems to manage every year without even being watered. I only have to maybe cut it twice during the summer.
Right. Yeah, we've been putting deck up everywhere, so I'm not having to cut as much grass as I used to, but putting deck around your house is pretty hard work, too.
Oh, tell, and also maintaining it. I bought my house here, Ronny, 20 years ago, and, I had it home inspected. I don't know anything about quality of homes. That's why I hired an inspector before I bought it. And he was telling me, I got decking that goes 3/4 around my home. I got my upstairs is 3,000 square feet. My downstairs is 3,000 square feet. So it's a 6,000 square foot home. He kept telling me, your decking is made out of cedar. It's going to last forever. But you know what? After we bought it, 6 months we were in here, and I noticed the paint was peeling on the deck. So I figured, okay, well, I'll just go out, buy more paint and touch it up. And then I peeled off where it was, and it was rotted. It wasn't even cedar. It was pine.
Yeah, we have the annual staining of the deck here too. So it's like instead of mowing the grass, you have to stain the deck.
Well, one thing, I don't know how it is in your state, but you know what? I can go out and just pay the cost to become a home inspector, and inspect people's homes before they buy it. I can make a lot of money, and it's no qualifications or anything. I don't even need to know anything about houses. How's that sound?
Wow, yeah, that'd be a great gig.
Yeah, too bad he died. Otherwise, I would have sued him. Anyway, tell everybody what you do for a living, and how did you get involved in UFOs, by all strange things?
Oh yeah, I'm a hazardous material driver, and I basically haul crude oil in a truck to the pipeline facility where we ship it in the pipeline to the refineries, and I've been doing this since 1985, and my whole life I've seen comets and meteors and you name it, I've seen it out there. We do a lot of plane watching, plane spotting, and that. And but anyway, I'd never seen a UFO till about 2009, and it got so bad over here. At one point, you couldn't go out without seeing something. I mean, I don't know what happened in 2009, but I mean, you literally could not go out at night and not see something strange.
Oh, wow. What type of things did you start noticing? I mean, I have had only one encounter with a UFO. Well, I don't know what it was, okay? I know. I'll tell you my story, then we can go into yours. Back around 1976, I was coming back from a job I had, which I hated, in North Carolina. And I was coming back to Washington State. I got through New Mexico in the middle of the night, and through the desert, this bright light lit up all around the car. It lit up inside the car. It was so intensive, it actually even hurt my eyes. So I figured, there's no speed limit. Or if it was, I think it was like 100 miles an hour or something ridiculous back then. And I pull over thinking, okay, well, maybe on the helicopter, the state police, or, for something. So I pull off. I get out of the car, and there's not a single sound. Like if you're out in the desert at night and you don't hear anything and it's eerie.
Right. Yeah, I used to work up in Nebraska around the missile silos, and then the helicopters would turn their lights on you and stuff like that. But you could hear the helicopter even before you could even see it,
Yeah, this was nothing, not a single sound. And it stood there above us for maybe, I don't know, it's hard to say because, I mean, time like that goes really slow. Maybe a few seconds, and then it vanished like instant. It was gone. Poof, like that. And it was eerie, If it was a helicopter, it was the first one I've ever heard. It didn't make a single sound. If it was something from the government, wow, they got something exciting, especially back in 1976. If it was a UFO, they probably looked at my wife inside the car and decided not to abduct us.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff like that, and just like you said, it's completely quiet, and helicopters are noisy, and you can hear a helicopter miles away.
Oh, yeah. I remember that from being in the service. I mean, you heard the egg beater. That's what they were called. And, this, like I said, this was totally quiet. So whatever it was, they didn't like my wife, and they took off. Thank God I had her in the car, because maybe I wouldn't be talking to you right now. They maybe would have abducted me, and who knows?
Yeah. But, the first thing we were seeing was we were seeing these, like, glowing spears that were, like, moving over the trees out in the middle of nowhere. And they would just show up, and then they would blink out and go dark. And then you'd see them appear, and then you'd see them drop 200 feet straight to the ground, sit there for a few seconds, and then pop back up into the same point before they started descending. And then another one would join it, and they'd blink out together. And other times they'd just be moving across the treetops. Out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, there's, you can't say it's a drone because there's just nobody around even fly a drone. And the woods are so thick. Why would anybody be out there flying a drone around at night knowing that they would lose it? So it's just, this was before drones were even popular. So
yeah, I watched some of those news shows, where they tried debunking, some of the sightings, like over Mexico and, and over, a couple of states and cities in our country. And they try to say, you know what it was? It was like balloons, okay? The light reflecting off of a weather balloon, or maybe it was a device that got out of control, that somebody had a remote, whatever. Baloney, no way.
Right. Yeah, I'm an RC pilot, so I have a pretty good idea what they can and can't do out there, and they like to say Chinese lanterns too, it's like, I've never seen Chinese lanterns descend and reascend and move at the speed these things are. So it's just some of the excuses they try to come up with ridiculous,
Well, at least they haven't used the Japanese yet and saying, oh, it's one of these incendiary bombs left over from World War II that was sent over, to start forest fires, in a big blimp type of thing. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, they have used every excuse in the book. That's when I shouldn't even said that, because evidently if we get monitored here, by Monday they'll start saying, hey, this is what you saw.
Oh, yeah, I know. And they've accused me of filming my friends throwing glow sticks. And they, some of this stuff is just insane,
So,
I
have a acquaintance that I got to know here recently. In fact, he's going to be on the show here in the next week or two. That he did work for a trucking company, and that he would go to an underground base, and he would back in, and all of a sudden that's what got him actually to quit doing it. He actually just quit because he said he couldn't take it anymore. He would back into this underground, shelter, like mini city or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, there'd be like about 8 or 9 armed guards, around his cab of his truck, with M16s, telling him to keep his hands on the wheel, don't turn his head, look straight ahead. If he turns his head, they'll shoot him. And he said the last time he did that was it. He gave that job up.
Wow. I've had some truck driving friends that they delivered stuff way underground, or they store stuff underground, and it's like a tunnel goes way under the earth. And but he never said anything about armed guards being around or nothing like that.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you're at. I also heard this happens. I guess there's a underground base in a mountain up in North Carolina too. The same way, I guess that supposedly the government, Ronnie, is supposed to be working with some aliens. Doing something to do with like electronic type of thing, trying to advance us. And it's kind of eerie too. Just even think if something like that does exist or doesn't.
Oh yeah, I believe there's some underground bases because I used to live out there at Rankin, Texas, and there's a little town south of there called Iran, and I seen a map and it showed that there's an underground base over there, and I remembered back to something that happened a decade before when some buddies of mine were looking for us out on the Pecos River down there where we were camping out, and they had taken a wrong turn and they went down the road and they got held at gunpoint at a military checkpoint, and they were told to leave and not tell anybody they saw them, and they were really scared of them. They said they'd kill them and kill their families, and these guys were really shook up, and they were trying to find us, and we just kind of laughed about it. Years later, I seen that they had targeted that spot as being a underground base with surface access, and that triggered me to my memory going, oh man, those guys could have been telling the truth, because I know they were really shook up.
Oh yeah, I mean, there is underground bases. We all know that. I mean, they got like, even if there's supposed to be like a nuclear war, I mean, half of Washington D.C. has a real nice luxury, underground base on a mountain, underneath the mountain, just to, for the government will at least survive. It might be, we might not be here, but at least part of the government will be there. But, what it gets me is that, orbs, they're really kind of hard to explain, especially you're out driving. I've been in situations too where, like a couple years ago, I was on my motorcycle with my sons, and we were going up by Crater Lake, Oregon, on our way to Reno and Las Vegas. And we saw some real strange things that was really bright. And I'll tell you this way, they didn't go like an asteroid would do or a rock coming into our atmosphere. I mean, it was moving around, and it was extensively bright and really fast.
Oh yeah. The first thing I seen that really shocked me was I was headed south out of Cisco, Texas, towards a little town called Rising Star, and there was a big array of lights appeared over the road, and it stretched a large area across the sky. And I seen it, and I seen cars pulling up to look at it, and I kept traveling, and eventually I got up underneath the thing, and 3 of the lights broke up and went down to a field over to my left. And I thought, what in the world is that? And then a blue beam, I could see a blue beam shining down to the ground. And it wasn't a bright beam, but it was bright enough that you could see it. And there was something standing out in the field, and I was trying to figure out what that was. And I was driving down the highway,